I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. So you guys know for the past 10 years here on my video blog, and if you read my book, I do everything I can to help you guys kind of forecast where things are going. You know, try and look at the landscape. Where are we headed in Vancouver as far as real estate goes? You know, where do I see the stock market moving forward? Where do I see these great companies like Apple and Google and Amazon going? And I've always told you, to buy quality, buy good Vancouver real estate, buy the best of the best in the S&P 500, companies like Apple and Google and Meta, and just hang on to them. Let them do all the heavy lifting. Let the incredible CEOs of these Fortune 500 companies navigate things for you. They're a lot smarter than I am. I entrust my money with them. So for many years, I've told you guys about, for instance, the price per square foot of what's going to be built in Vancouver going forward. And I even dedicate, a chapter in my book here, plug my book, Along for the Ride. As you guys know, towards the end of the book, I have a chapter in there, chapter 12, on where I see Vancouver real estate going. And in there I talk about price per square foot, Vancouver continuing to be a highly desirable city where people want to live, one of the best lifestyles in the world. You're not competing just with local buyers here. You're going to compete with buyers from all over the world, just like they do in Manhattan or Miami or Southern California. Vancouver's not an anomaly there. And how the price per square foot was going to continue to increase. And I also been talking for many years on my blog here about how what we would consider affordable condos coming online in downtown Vancouver or Kitts or Mount Pleasant are long gone, especially in the downtown core. Everything that's coming online now, as a matter of fact, anything that's come online in the past 5 years and then moving forward here is only going to be luxury and ultra luxury condominiums starting at $1,900 a square foot for a low floor facing the alley to well over $3,000, $3,500 a square foot. So for how long have I been telling you guys one of the reasons why I'm so bullish on long term? I have no idea what the real estate market in Vancouver will do this year, next year, but over the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, the price of those downtown condos is going to go nothing but up, and it will probably surprise you how much it goes up. Because the days of getting a $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 square foot price per square foot condo are long gone. They're still available in the tangible market, but from this point on, you're not going to see anything being built downtown that will even come close to those prices. Again, it's going to average about $2,000 a square foot. So I'm under the belief this is the future of where Vancouver is headed. I'm going to point out to you here in a minute. I'm under the belief that if everything coming online is going to be between $2,000 and over $3,000 a square foot, and you can still buy a quality concrete unit in downtown for, say, $1,100 a square foot, $1,200 a square foot, then gee, I think if you were to buy that unit, live in it, enjoy it, or perhaps buy it as an investment, put a tenant in it and keep it for 20, 25 years, I think you're going to look back on it as a pretty wise investment. Give you an example here. Just got a price sheet here on new development they're just pre-selling now called 1515. So this is going to be on West Georgia in Cole Harbour. Very incredible looking building. I'm going to get to in a minute. Not only along West Georgia there, that's going to be Millionaires Row, West Georgia, as well as Alberni Street, which runs parallel to it. You're not even going to recognize that area in another 10 years. It's going to be all ultra luxury, architecturally significant, because they've got these high world-class designers and developers that are going to be putting these together. You're not even going to recognize that neighborhood. It's going to be like a piece of Manhattan down there. And the prices on these are, pretty astonishing. Give you an idea here. This is the price sheet here for 1515. Studios, 483 square feet, no parking, on the 7th floor, starting at $948, plus GST, plus PTT. So you're looking at, let's just call it $1,050,000 for a 483 square foot studio. And I can tell you that's going to be on the 7th floor, facing the back in the alley, looking into another building. One bedrooms, 546 square feet to 600 square feet from the 5th to the 24th floor, starting at 1.1 million, plus GST on top of that. So add another 55,000 GST, plus your PTT. Two bedrooms, 1,025 square feet on the 6th floor, starting at 2.1 million. So you're looking at 2.2 million, so that's 2,200 a square foot plus your PTT, and that's going to be a low floor. That's from these two bedroom floor plans are from floor 6 to 39. Well, the 2.1 million is going to be on the 6th floor, and that's going to be in the back facing the alley. If you want something, on a higher floor with a nicer outlook, you're going to be over $3 million. So over 3,000 a square foot plus your GST. And that's the tower residence. They also have something called Premier Residence, which is on the higher floors, which I guess, of course, has better outlooks, maybe even a little bit better finishings. Two bedrooms starting at $4 million. And these are going to be higher floors, 28 to 35. The estimated strata fees, 98 cents per square foot. So $1 per square foot estimated. And those estimates on these pre-sales are always low. It might be like that for the first year. Don't be surprised if these goes up to $1.20 a square foot for your strata fees. This is the future of where Vancouver is going to go. Give you a couple other examples. Alberni Street, which is parallel to Georgia Street. This is also going to be another millionaire's row. There are so many high-end luxury towers have now been zoned for that. So you've got a new one I just saw last week. It's from the designer of the Burj Khalifa tower that's in United Arab Emirates, or is that in Kuwait, I think? Or is it Taipei? They've just announced a 43-story luxury tower on Alberni Street. That's the city just approved. You've got another one on Georgia Street, two towers on Georgia Street that are going to be put up by I.M. Stern, which is the New York architect. You've got the Kengo Kuma building on Alberni. That's coming along pretty nicely. They're getting ready to cap the top of that building. Occupancy on that will be in about a year, probably another year or so. In my neighborhood, I've got Burrard Place, which is Jim Pattison's development. That's almost done. I think keys on that are going to happen in early summer of this year. Those pre-sold for 17, 18, 2,000 a square foot. Some of those will start getting online, resales. The developer will hold back some units, and then, of course, some owners will flip them. And those will be well over 2,000 a square foot, 2,500 a square foot. I just had my second client, I got them into a nice little small two-bedroom in the Pacific by Grosvenor. Really nice building. I've tweeted out some stuff. I've talked about this one in passing. Really, I'm very impressed with that building. Now that it's tangible, I've looked at a lot of the floor plans in there. Actually got my client a pretty decent deal, well under 1,800 a square foot. Now, it's on a lower floor. It was a tangible unit, GST, but the developer, Grosvenor, which all these developers do, they released about 15 units that are tangible now. And I think they've sold them all, but impressive building. But again, in that building, there's a bunch of resales in there now. Higher floors with some nicer outlooks. Typical two-bedroom in there, 900 square feet, well into the $2 million mark and up. And you'd still have GST. So again, I point this out to you guys to show you where Vancouver is going. This is the future of Vancouver here. Nothing is going to be built downtown now, unless it is ultra luxury. The developers are not messing around with anything you would consider affordable. So what I've always told you guys, if you can get into the downtown market, you can get into a building right next door to one of these luxury towers for under 1,200 a square foot. Probably going to be a good decision if you buy it and hold it for 20 or 25 years. Or, in a lot of these ones down on Alberni Street here and some of the stuff in the West End, you've always got that white knight scenario. You buy an older strata, and in 10 or 15 years, don't be surprised if a developer is knocking on the door looking to give you 2 or 3 times your assessed value, because now they've rezoned it for a 40-story luxury. So that's the future. That's what you want. What I try and teach you guys is to look forward. Look way into the future of where Vancouver is headed, just like with the stock market. When I buy a stock like an Apple or an Nvidia, or a Johnson & Johnson, I could care less what the stock does 6 months from now, a year, or 2 years. I'm buying these stocks. If it's Johnson & Johnson, let's say, I'm saying to myself, are they still going to be selling hundreds of millions of dollars of Listerine and Tylenol? Yeah. Are they still going to be selling pharmaceuticals and medical devices? Yeah. You know, these are cash cow businesses that will continue to produce profits. Vancouver real estate's the same way. Just to wrap it up, I saw this is what tricks up people, and they get into this cocoon of fear and anger and envy. I came across a YouTube blog, and you guys, I think, probably know who these guys are that post some of these YouTube blogs. It was something about, you know, blaming the federal government for the real estate prices in Vancouver and all Canadian cities, I guess, Toronto included. Basically saying that the federal government, the government mandated to inflate our real estate prices with their policies. And I guess that's, you know, bringing in immigration and interest rates and I guess the principal resident exemption. Who knows? I didn't even really watch the video. The headline alone was ridiculous. My response to that is, yeah, no kidding. I mean, this is what I talk about of surveying the landscape. When I started into real estate, getting interested in real estate through my father 35, 40 years ago, this was something that my dad told me. Listen, we live in Canada. Most countries, not all, but the United States would be the same way. But in Canada, back in the mid-70s, absolutely, we started a mandate, the government did, of home ownership in Canada. We were smart. The government at the time recognized, and all the governments since then, have wanted to get you into home ownership because they know that will be probably the only substantial net money that you have when you're ready to retire. It will make up the bulk of your net worth. It would be your principal residence. So what they did is a number of things. In Canada, they gave us the principal residence exemption, the biggest gift that you will ever receive. They don't give us much in Canada. You buy your principal residence, you live in it, all the capital gains will come to you tax-free when you sell it. It's the biggest and only real tax shelter we get. The TFSA is great, but it's a pittance compared to what you're going to be able to put in your principal residence. I've got sellers that have owned homes for 20, 30, 40 years that are selling them and cashing out $2, $3 million tax-free. They would need to have $6 million at an RRSP to equal that. How many blogs have I done on that? So they instituted the principal residence exemption. The other things they did, the other main thing they did, especially this was up to the cities, the individual cities. But in Vancouver, in most cities in Canada, we run off a low property tax, relatively low. I know it's been going up and people complain about property taxes. But overall, our property taxes compared to other jurisdictions, say for instance in the US, are very low. I'll give you an example. I've done this analogy many times, but I want to pound it home. You know, for instance, in a state like Florida, they don't have any state income tax there. They only pay federal, but they have an extremely high property tax. They actually, in a state like Florida, do not encourage home ownership in a lot of ways. You'd actually, in some cases, if you do the numbers, for some people, might be better off renting in a place like Florida. Because a typical, just a basic 2-bedroom condo in Miami that you're going to pay $1 million for, your property taxes on that are going to be $20,000 a year. $20,000. In Vancouver, $1 million condo, your property taxes are going to be about $3,400 a year. So a fraction of what they would be in Florida. Here's the difference though. In Florida, you make up for it because you don't have a state income tax. In Canada, in Vancouver, we get a break on our property taxes, but they kill us on our income taxes. But this mandate was set decades and decades ago. It encouraged you, it's giving you an incentive to own real estate as opposed to rent it. Now, when somebody comes out with this ridiculous blog now blaming the government on this, my question to them is, where were you? Were you asleep? Were you high on drugs? You must have had your head in the sand. This is about what I call reading the landscape. This was something that I learned about 35 years ago. My dad would tell me, oh, you want to be an owner here. Canada encourages you, and BC and the city of Vancouver and the city of Richmond are encouraging you to own your home, which is the way to do it. They realize that, if you don't and you become a lifetime renter, you're definitely going to be cashing in your old age security, which they don't really want to pay you. For instance, I'm never going to collect old age security. My wife will never collect it. Just about everybody I know will not be eligible for old age security because we make too much money. Our assets we own real estate. So they don't want you dependent on the government. If you're a renter, there's a lot more chance you're going to be dependent on the government for assistance when you get into your 60s and 70s. If you own a home and you buy it when you're 20 or 30 or even 40, you're going to have a substantial capital gain there by the time you're in your late 60s or 70s. They encourage that. So going now saying that the government was encouraging to inflate housing prices, I don't think they were encouraging to inflate housing prices, but the incentive was always there, and it's still there. Don't fight it. Take every advantage you can get. Take advantage of the principal res exemption. Take advantage of the long-term sheltered growth on that home. It certainly beats renting. Once you're in the market, as I often said, the cost to hold that house, pay down the debt, and participate in the capital gain is not much more than what it's costing you right now to rent, and you're going to get zero back for it. This was something that I learned when I was a teenager, and it's going to still hold true going forward. You have to recognize this. Read the landscape. And read the landscape here on where Vancouver real estate prices are going to be going moving forward. $2,000 a square foot and up. I can still get you a good concrete for under $1,200 a square foot. As a matter of fact, I just had one on the West End, 8-year-old building that we just bought for just under $1,100 a square foot for an 8-year-old concrete building with parking. They're out there. I've got an offer right now on one in Yaletown on a 19-year-old building. Built by Boza, no parking, for just over $1,000 a square foot. They're out there. This is where the market is headed here. Luxury towers, $2,000, $3,000 a square foot, $1 a square foot maintenance fees. If you want to stay in Vancouver and you're renting, make the commitment to become an owner. Once you're in, you're going to ride that market up, and you're creating equity two ways. Paying down the debt, and you, in the long term, you will participate in incredible tax sheltered gain there. But read the landscape. Of course, the government's always, since the 70s, has encouraged you to buy your own home as opposed to renting. Even they know that renting long term is a loser's game. We'll give you every advantage to try and buy your home and get in the market, and that's what they've done. Although they kill you on the income tax. So more incentive here than there is in a lot of other jurisdictions to own your home. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.